clock having arrived and slightly past, the board will come to order. Invocation by Ms. Shepherd, Pledge of Allegiance by Mr. Thomas.
Lord, we ask that you grant this county board wisdom and discernment as we make decisions for those we serve. We ask for your protection over all those serving in the military. We also lift up our veterans and first responders and ask that you watch over them and keep them safe. We ask this in your precious name. Amen.
The clerk will call the roll.
Here. Hammond. Hammond. Here. Constant.
Excused.
Basco. Here. Wiener. Here. Delgado. Here. Stepping. Here. Douglas Williams. Here. Forsyth. Here. Raisy. Here. Jensen. Here. Shannon.
Here.
Hall. Yes. Rel. Here. Nathan. Here. Bedonia. Here. McGuire. Here. Mendenhall.
Here.
Miller. Here. Vader. Here. Skate. Here. Chapman. Here. Shepherd.
Here.
Small. Stump. Here. Thomas. Here. Shumlin. Here. Truex. Here. Chairman's present as well. 28 present, 1 absent.
Thank you, Mr. Clerk. Quick business reminder to board members. Mr. Kenman, all those months in hair and makeup are finally paying off. We are broadcasting live this evening for the first time. Anyone watching remotely, please bear with us as we learn to broadcast live, but we are broadcasting live for the first time. A reminder to everyone, please speak directly into the microphone. And for any public speakers that we have tonight, a reminder that we can adjust the height of the podium from which you're speaking so that the microphone is properly positioned so you can hear. Next, we have, and this is an evening of converting telephones for board members to the new email system. Mr. Del Giorno has sort of led the charge on this so that we are fully compliant with FOIA regulations. If you have not converted your phone yet, IT will be tapping you out during the meeting, and you'll be able to go next door and get your phone updated. We are broadcasting simultaneously next door, so if we don't have enough seats, anyone is welcome to sit next door. You'll be able to hear and see the meeting, or hear and see the meeting both in the committee room next door. All right, with that preliminary business out of the way, Mr. Canman.
Can I make a point of
Mr. Canman, I don't think you're close enough to your mic.
Yeah, we talked earlier this week about the fact that a former member of the county board, I wasn't even aware he was a member of the county board, had recently passed away. I'm talking about Herb Smith, and I think it might be appropriate to have a moment of silence for our former county board member who recently passed.
Happy to do so. Now, proceeding in the regular order, the chair is pleased to recognize Ms. Fulgenzi, Mrs. Shepherd, and Mr. Del Giorno.
Hello. This is our annual gift for our staff presentation. So I would like to call down our newly anointed Deputy County Administrator, Jeff Wilhite. I get to be a Santa this year. All the board members appreciate all of Jeff's help. He's been with us for a few years, and I think he's probably been tested to the limit, and I think he earned this promotion to our Deputy County Administrator. He's been through a lot of controversy as our press person, and I think a lot of us rely on Jeff for information and for our constituents and for assistance. So it's well-deserved promotion, and we're very happy to give you this gift from all the board members.
I can't help but note for board members, when we first signed Jeff on, Bernie Schoenberg, who many of you will remember with the acerbic newsman in this community told Brian, this is the best thing you've ever done, right, Brian? Mr. Del Giorno.
I just have to raise the podium. I'm a little tall. I look forward to being able to present this gift for the holidays this year to the power behind the throne, but alas, I got stuck with Brian. And Brian, now realizing that he's aging out, has now asked for a deputy. Whoa! Thank you, Will. Has now asked for a deputy, so we've given him a deputy administrator. But Brian, thank you for being the taskmaster that you are, for knowing everything about everything that goes on around here, even when you don't. So thank you very much, and Merry Christmas.
And I am here, Mary, sweet Mary. It's your turn. Before we give this gift, we need to recognize the woman who actually runs the county board. We may sit up here and vote, but Mary manages the rest of us. Agendas magically appear, deadlines somehow get met, and when things start to go sideways, Mary is already there, 3 steps ahead, quietly fixing it while the rest of us are still debating. Putting up with the county board is not easy. Well, putting up with them is not easy. I'm pretty easy. Mary puts up with last-minute changes, repeat questions, strong opinions, occasional confusion, and meetings that were supposed to take an hour but mysteriously turn into a mini-series. She answers emails that start with, "Quick question." She survives reply all moments. She keeps a straight face when we ask something that was clearly explained already. And she answers anyway, calmly, professionally, and without pointing it out most of the time. If Mary ever took a surprise vacation without telling us, this building would instantly descend into complete chaos. We'd be wandering the hallways with empty folders, missed deadlines, and absolutely no idea what we're supposed to be doing. She keeps this board organized, accountable, and functional, which, quite honestly, might be her greatest accomplishment. And truly, Mary, you make us all better. You handle everything we don't see, fix everything we don't know is broken, and carry more than anyone realizes, so this board can serve our county well. You are appreciated more than you hear, valued more than you know, and relied on far more than we probably admit. So this gift is just a small thank you for your patience, professionalism, and your incredible ability to put up with all of us and still show up every day smiling. We'd say we'll try to make next year easier on you, but let's all be realistic. Merry Christmas.
Thank you. Appreciate it. Thank you.
Okay, proceeding now to the regular business and the main feature of this evening's meeting. We have a presentation from the Massey Commission. And if our presenters want to proceed to the well of the chamber and adjust their podiums as they see fit, I just want to say by way of welcome, ask everyone in the room, although it's a bit painful, to take yourself mentally back to a little over a year ago, and the trauma and frustration that the community felt, really as one, in the face of Sonia Massey's tragic murder. And consider the incredible good work of this commission in taking that frustrated energy and turning it into positive energy for good. We are, as a community, so thankful to you, and we have lots of good work here to get done. So now to the work to do. Please tell us.
Thank you so much, Chairman Van Meter. Good evening.
The county board members, you all have a copy of this. It is a compendium. This is not the full report. The full report will remain online for a little while. But I wanted to walk you through this because it will follow exactly how we're going to go through the presentation. You have space for notes. Page 3 is a letter from our commission leadership. Page 5 is our executive summary. And that also lists our 4 work group titles that the commission had. Page 7, you can see that at the top it reads Part 2. You're not missing Part 1. It's just that we did not bring all those things forward. And Part 2 are our signature priorities, which we're going to share with you this evening. Then you will note that beginning on page 8 is the first of your 5 signature priorities, which we're going to go through this evening. And the actual calls to action begin on page 13. This is not, as I said, the full report. We also, for those of you who are here in the audience, we also have copies that are in the back that have some of the same sort of materials, just not printed in this really beautiful booklet that has Sonia's picture on the front of it. I also want to thank you and say I think that most of my emails began to Mary with quick question. So I am also guilty of that same thing. So thank you for giving us this space tonight. We're really glad to be here, and we're glad to see new members at this table. The work that we are going to share, is this being seen, by the way? They're figuring it out, okay. The work that we're going to share belongs to the community, and anyone who is joining this conversation is pulling up a chair to a table set with that residents set with their stories, their expectations, and their courage. The Commission's work began with a simple truth. Health is something we must practice with one another and something our public systems must protect. What we heard over these long months is that health isn't only about clinics or crisis response. It's about safety, dignity, accountability, and the conditions that allow people to live without fear. Tonight is not just a presentation, it's an invitation for every person in this room to take their place at this table tonight, that the community set with courage and clarity. And before we walk you through the work itself, we want to introduce you to the team that sat at that table, some from the very beginning and others who joined later. Adam will start us off.
Thank you, Kelly. When we talk about pulling up chairs to the table, this group did that day after day.
Adam,
Not-
would you hang on just a minute? Do we have a technical problem?
Yes, trying to get this put onto the screen here.
Yeah, if I think we'd like to wait, so.
Mr.
Mr.
Chairman, I was
Cannon,
wondering if
yes.
the speakers like Adam could identify himself and what his title is and so on. And
Good
his full name.
suggestion.
Thanks. I will start. I'm Dr. Kelly Hurst, the Managing Director of the Massey Commission.
Adam White, Public Engagement Coordinator.
Joanne, do you want to? Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah, I'm sorry. Yes, of course.
I'm Sante Massey. I am the Associate Director and Sonia Massey's cousin.
Joanne Johnson, co-chair, Sonia Massey Commission.
Jerry Cruz, Co-Chair, Massey Commission.
Let's cover a few other routine matters while we'll come back to the presentation. How about a motion for the approval of the minutes of the November 10th, 2025 meeting?
Moved.
Mr. Madonia, seconded by Mr. Del Giorno. All in favor, signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, no. The ayes have it. Minutes are approved. Correspondence, motion by Mr. Del Giorno, seconded by Mr. Madonia. For the approval of the correspondence be placed on file with the clerk. All in favor, signify by saying aye. Opposed, no. The ayes have it. Correspondence be placed on file with the clerk. Mr. Hall, did you seek recognition for something? Okay. Why don't we just work through some resolutions and as they work through this, and we'll come back to that, okay? If you folks don't mind standing by. Resolution number 1. Mr. Clerk, will you please read resolution number 1?
Resolution 1, resolution approving the county bridge petition number 453 for Springfield Township for removal of the Chinkapin Road Bridge over the Sangamon River.
Motion by Mr. Frazee, seconded by Mr. Stumpf to place resolution 1 before the board. Questions, comments, members of the board on resolution 1? Seeing none, the clerk will call the roll.
Ayers. Yes. Cameron. Yes. Dabsco. Yes. Diener. Yes. Del Giorno. Aye. Deppie. Aye. Douglas Williams. Yes. Forsyth. Frazee. Aye. Fulgenzi. Aye. Guyton.
Aye.
Hall. Yes. Krell. Aye. Lathan. Aye. Madonia. Aye. McGuire. Aye. Mendenhall.
Aye.
Miller.
Aye.
Rader.
Aye.
Scaife. Aye. Shackman.
Aye.
Shepherd.
Aye.
Small. Aye. Stumpf.
Aye.
Thomas. Chumlin.
Aye.
Truex.
Aye.
All 27 approve.
All those voting having voted in the affirmative, resolution number 1 is adopted. Resolution 2, Mr. Clerk.
Number 2, resolution approving the purchase of a 2027 Pitts LB 5122DC lowboy trailer from Aero Trailer and Equipment Co. of Springfield, Illinois, on a joint purchasing contract in the amount of $78,000.
Motion by Mr. Frazee, second by Mr. Rader to place resolution 2 before the board. Questions, comments, members of the board on resolution 2? Seeing none, Mr. Madonia, do you have a motion?
I move that the roll call vote for resolution 1 stand for the roll call vote for resolution 2.
All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, no. The ayes have it. Resolution 2 is adopted. Resolution 3, Mr. Clerk. Are we ready? Okay, very good. We're back in operation. Back to the Massey
Not a
Commission.
problem. We'll just level set here and say that if this was the worst problem we had through this commission, that's okay. We had plenty of issues going on. Also, Mary is going to run the PowerPoint. Mary, this will be easy for you. Every time you see a new speaker, there's a new slide. I know. So that's me. So go to the next one. And that's Ab.
All right, when we talk about pulling up chairs to the table, this group did that day after day, not as figureheads, but as partners in a process shaped by the community. Dr. Cruz, Dr. Hurst, Joanne, Sante, and I each brought different forms of experience. Medical, community, law enforcement, lived, and operational. And like many of you, we learned more from this work than we ever anticipated. What was primary and grounding from commission leadership from the beginning was the importance of always centering Sonia in everything we did. But the names here aren't the only people who carried this work forward. They stood shoulder to shoulder with community members, clinicians, researchers, and advocates, and all of that kept us grounded in lived realities. This leadership team reflects exactly how we approach the work. Shared responsibility, shared expertise, and shared accountability. And that includes all the commissioners who showed up monthly, as well as the other 4 work groups comprising nearly 50 community members. This team reflects the principle that guided the entire commission. No one leads this alone, and none of us move forward without each other.
Thank you, Adam. I speak tonight not just as a commission member, but as Sonia Massey's cousin. This commission wasn't created out of theory. It was created out of pain. Her death was not a moment, it was a breaking point. And it revealed what so many families in this county have lived through quietly. Systems that fail, systems that harm, and systems that refuse to see us until the worst happens. When the community called for this commission, they weren't asking for condolences, they were asking for transformation. And that is why we're here.
We kept this process simple and disciplined. First, we listened deeply, consistently, and without filtering out the discomfort to the families, residents, experts, officers, clinicians, and organizers. Then we learned through history, data, expertise, national best practices, and lived experience for an honest accounting of our lived realities in the local sector. And only then did we act, by shaping and producing the calls to action you now hold. They are specific, implementable, and grounded in what the community actually asked of us. Also, this wasn't theoretical. It was an iterative process. It was relational and evidence-based. These are not symbolic ideas. These are operational blueprints, and many of them fall directly under the authority of this board.
Thank you, Kelly. The 5 priorities we will be sharing with you this evening emerged across every listening session, every data review, and every community conversation. They are not abstract categories. They reflect what people told us they need in order to live with dignity. Each priority is anchored in values that came directly from the community, and each one serves to organize the 26 calls to action in a way that makes long-term structural change possible. The plus signs you see are intentional. The first word listed is a value, and the second is an outcome. The 2 words cannot be uncoupled. No one should ever fear for their life when asking for help. Safety plus dignity was created because community members repeatedly told us that crisis response should never introduce additional harm. As one resident put it, when someone is in crises, they shouldn't have to fear for their life when police show up. That's not an extraordinary request. It's the basic standard of what safety should be. And what leads to the truth captured in this signature priority quote seen in the blue box on the lower left. We are safe when we are seen. When systems see the whole person, their fear, their humanity, their need, safety becomes possible. When they don't, harm becomes predictable. This priority is about building systems where being in crisis doesn't cost you your dignity or your life. Because being safe is being seen. That's the standard, and our systems must rise to meet it.
The Massey Commission found early on that the lack of accountability has caused a deep wound. Accountability and trust were completely lacking. A community member put it plainly, quote, "Don't tell us to trust you, show us why we should." He went on to say, quote, "We've been told to wait, to have faith, to be patient. We are done waiting on accountability," end quote. Of course, he was right. Trust isn't something that can be requested. It must be earned, and earned consistently. So this is not a rebuilding of trust. Trust hasn't been present to begin with. The Commission's insight in this slide captures the essence of accountability. Look at the blue box on the lower right. Face it, fix it, never forget. Facing the truth means naming the harm without defensiveness and without excuses. Fixing the problem requires transparency, data, information, action, consequences. Never forgetting is how institutions prevent history from repeating itself. Don't make the same mistake twice. Accountability is the backbone of public trust. The county, you, now have the central role in building that accountability and in building that trust. And it's time to build that trust now.
Access with belonging doesn't work. Access plus belonging begs a simple question. Who were our systems built for, and who were they built without? One person reminded us that people can't belong to a system if it wasn't built for them. They went on to say, if the same people keep getting invited to the table, then it's not the people's table. That statement captures the architecture of exclusion that shows up in transportation, language access, appointment systems, and service coordination. And the principle that guides this priority is equally direct. If it's not for all of us, it's not justice. Access without belonging is insufficient, and as this community has stated unequivocally, it's not acceptable. Services must work for the people who need them most, not just the people who fit the existing structure. Systems built for yesterday will continuously fail to meet our needs for tomorrow.
Repair doesn't just happen through acknowledgement alone. Communities were clear. Resources must follow the rhetoric. One resident said that justice is a budget line and the balance is overdue. She spoke plainly to go on to say, stop telling us there's no money when there's always money for punishment. We need investments in people, not prisons. That's a moral and financial indictment, and also a roadmap. Our guiding phrase reinforces the truth and is a direction quote of her words. Justice is a budget line. We expect long-term change. We must invest in prevention, trauma, recovery, and community-led solutions. Budget reveals priorities. Repair plus investment asks us to align our funding with our values. Justice is a budget line.
Education plus liberation is where imagination becomes policy. A resident told us, if we don't teach the truth, we'll keep repeating the same lies. They weren't just talking about school curriculum, they were talking about all the ways in which a community learns, including how this county teaches itself to tell the truth about harm, responsibility, and possibility. Because this commission has been a curriculum too. A curriculum in learning to listen, in accountability, in confronting the limits of our systems, and in imagining a different future. We have learned alongside each other, and the community has been our teacher. This is a process of becoming. Learning isn't just academic, it's how communities interrupt violence, inequity, and fear. This priority calls for youth curricula, workforce development, and public education that empowers people to participate in building a safer county. And the truth is this: we are smart enough to know how to navigate the formalities and political constraints that come from federal and state overreach. The real question is, do we have the courage? Courage to teach our children and ourselves what it means to imagine something better. Courage to resist the status quo that keeps producing preventable tragedies. And the courage to act on the lessons of this commission rather than file them away. Our guiding phrase says, when we know better, we become better. But knowing requires telling the truth. It requires imagination, and it requires the county to treat this moment as a part of its own civic curriculum, a chance to learn publicly and to lead publicly. Education plus liberation calls us to build a county where truth-telling, civic purpose, and collective imagination are not extras. They're how we prevent harm in the first place. When we choose what we choose to teach and what we've been taught through this commission will determine what our children inherit. And we have learned too much to pretend that we do not know.
In all 26 calls to action, the county is in direct control of 13 of these, exactly half. These calls sit squarely within the county's authority, including crisis response, data transparency, and accountability mechanisms, strengthening our public health initiatives, and the structure and oversight of a mental health board referendum. These are areas where the county doesn't have to wait on partners or state agencies. You can move now, and these calls were written with that clarity in mind. These calls to action are not hypothetical, they fall squarely within the authority of this board. You control these levers, and to name a few, the sheriff's standards, 708 board strategy, county health data, economic equity initiatives, housing equity studies and pilot programs, public transparency mechanisms, the Civil Rights Accountability Summit, and the official review of this report. This is the county's work. No one else can do it. Other calls to action require shared leadership with city government, health systems, law enforcement agencies, and community-based organizations. The county doesn't own these systems alone, but your participation is essential. Co-leadership means aligning policies, reducing fragmentation, and ensuring that community-centered solutions don't get blocked by jurisdictional silos. To name a few, there are unified accountability systems, a coordinated scorecard summit, a transit equity study with county approval authority, and something that we heard loudly requested from every community was subpoena power for oversight, citizen oversight boards. These are achievable, actionable, and long overdue. And for the areas which the county must champion, the county's voice and influence can accelerate change, even if you don't have direct operational authority. Championing means using your political, civic, and moral capital to set expectations, encourage collaboration, and support the systems that must evolve. Change at this scale requires champions. The community told us clearly that they want the county to be one of them. When Sangamon County advocates with clarity, our legislators listen.
The heart of this work isn't the policies, it's the people. Every call to action and every page of the final report was shaped by community members who shared painful stories because they wanted something better for their families. Sonia's story is one of them, but there are countless others. That's already too many. So all of this, every recommendation, every meeting, every data point comes back to one truth. We cannot lose another life the way we lost Sonia. This work is not political, it's not abstract, it's human. And when the human cost is this high, the moral obligation becomes non-negotiable.
So the question you're now asking is, how do we do this? We do this with trusted frameworks and a theory of change. Our theory of change is rooted in what we heard. The need is clear, the approach is community-centered, the work is structural, and the expected results is a county where safety, dignity, and belonging are real and not aspirational. This is the architecture of how change happens in a system like ours. This commission wasn't just an exercise in policy, it was a process in learning. We want to be transparent about that. This work shaped us as much as it shaped the recommendations. We have learned from this community, and we intend to remain connected to the work long after this commission sunsets. A community deserves leaders who are willing to learn, and we count ourselves among them. We're here, and we're not going anywhere. That's the foundation of our theory of change. Real transformation requires honest learning, shared courage, and the willingness to stay committed beyond the moment that sparked the work.
This slide shows you the, there it is. This slide shows you the path to racial equity. This path to racial equity is not hypothetical either. It's a measurement tool. This slide reminds us that racial equity, any equity, is developmental. Individuals, institutions, regions move along this path at different speeds, but the goal is movement. Because of the work of the Massey Commission, the county board now sits at the transformation stage. We're past the awareness stage, we're past the stage of understanding. We got it. So we can't operate from either of those first two. We are in transformation now. And the public expects transformative change. The data demands transformative change. And the Massey Commission and this report has given you a roadmap to get there. It's now your responsibility to do it.
In regards to short-term actions, these are actions the county can take immediately, many within months. They include policy alignment, improved data reporting, early mental health infrastructure, and setting up governance structures that will carry the calls to action into implementation. These are high-impact steps that demonstrate momentum and seriousness. Some of these immediate steps the county can take within the next 24 months include establishing the implementation oversight group, setting 708 board priorities, completing countywide equity and accessibility reviews, launching or enhancing crisis response pilots, and publishing annual equity and access reports. These are not heavy lifts, they are decisive ones.
The long-term actions in this report can't sit on a shelf and can't be put away. They actually have to be put into practice immediately, and now is the test of that learning. because we have to get back to our work, our institutions, and our systems with the courage to resist the easy path of status quo. We were asked to imagine something different for this county, and we did as a community. The question is whether the county and everyone whose names are connected to implementing these 26 calls to action will treat it as instruction, not suggestion. Let's be honest, many people in this county have never been invited to imagine operating differently, and that's why this moment right now matters. We've established the imagination, we've built the curriculum, now we choose whether to follow it. And let me say this plainly, courage is fear walking. We've already taken those steps. We need the county to walk in lockstep, not cautiously behind, not waiting for perfect conditions, but moving with us in real time. Long-term actions will institutionalize learning from this commission. And over the next 3 to 7 years, some of the things for sustained accountability include institutionalizing equity accountability, building integrated behavioral health systems, advancing economic mobility, reforming education partnerships, expanding housing and transit equity, and maintaining open dashboards and public reporting. This is the long arc toward justice, and Sangamon County gets to shape it.
My family didn't choose this path. The community didn't choose the conditions that made this commission necessary. But we do have a choice today. To move forward and with honesty, courage, and commitment. The calls to action aren't just recommendations. They are a promise that this county can be different. My cousin deserved that. Your families deserve that. And our community is asking you to help us build it. When my family lost Sonia, the community stepped forward and said, this can never happen again. This report is the promise. You, the county board, are the fulfillment of that promise. We're not asking you to agree with every line. We're asking you to lead. Because safety, dignity, and justice demand nothing less. Let's show the community what courage looks like. Tonight, all of us pulled our chairs up to the table the community built from grief, truth, and hope. The question now is what we'll do with the seat we've been given and how we use it to protect the people who trusted us to be here.
Wait, don't run off. We have, we may have some questions, and while we've got the experts here, it's a good time to, any questions or comments from members of the board? I think that was the best presentation I've ever seen to the county board. That was an excellent presentation. Mr. Stump.
Chair, I don't want to ask any questions of you tonight. What I want to say is I'm very glad, Chair, that you started off with an applause, because we've been painfully awaiting this report, as you're going to see tonight, and I know you've seen other things that the county board is already starting to implement and try to get things in what your report is. I really look to the county board members to work hard on this report. Our community does deserve a lot better. Your family does deserve a lot better. And I'm so glad you started with as applause, because that's the first thing I was going to ask for this whole room to stand up and applaud the work that you've done, because it's been very painful just to even watch what you've had to do. So I really hope we implement a lot of things that and work with you, and I'm sure he has a structure that we're going to move paths forward. So thank you so much, and please, I ask the room again, please applaud them.
I did see a number of other hands, but I want to just take a moment to, she's going to probably be mad at me for doing this, but I want to acknowledge in the audience Rakisha Falane. Rakisha, I probably got your last name right. Rakisha was a staff person when nobody knew what the Massey Commission, how to organize it, how to get it going, and she was the organizer and the brains and brawn behind the first tentative steps, and she got us started in the right direction. Did a wonderful job. Other questions or comments from members of the board? Ms. Lathan.
Well, first of all, I'd like to, and I don't think we could go any further without once again acknowledging and honoring Sonia Massey. I also want to just acknowledge and recognize that even in spite of her tragic, horrific death, she has served as a beacon of light through this entire process. And thank you so much for even sharing her beautiful photos throughout your presentation. It did not go unnoticed. I also would like to acknowledge the leadership of the Massey Commission and all of the community members that came out from all walks of life throughout our county and served on the Massey Commission. You all did an exceptional job. Thank you for your hard work. I know we as county board members, some of us really grapple with what do we do next and how do we do it. And thank you so much for this well-constructed document, because it really speaks to next steps in terms of a blueprint with the actions and who our partners are. So I could go on and on, but I just want to let you know that you're all appreciated, and we thank you.
Chairman, can we acknowledge there are several people
Yes.
here in the audience
Yes.
who are actually
Please do.
co-chairs, commissioners. Would you please stand to be recognized at this time? Any of you who showed up?
Other questions or comments from members of the board? Ms. Fulgenzi.
I just want to thank you all for all your hard work. I think I've watched the last 10 years that I've been on the board, so much growth in our community, addressing a lot of the issues, and sometimes tragedy has to occur to get to some of the most important issues, and Ms. Massey will not be forgotten. So thank you very much.
Mr. Cameron.
Thank you. I'd also like to thank Chairman Van Meter and Senator Turner for coming up with the idea of the Massey Commission in the first place. And thank you, Chairman.
Well, you know, it's really easy to come up with an idea. The hard part is implementation, and that's what these folks have
Right,
done.
and for that, I want to thank all the hard work, all the commissioners for all the hard work they did, as well as the members of the various committees. There were many different committees that worked very hard and funneled information to the commissioners. So, and that was, I'm sure, very important and tedious work that all of you guys engaged in. And the PowerPoint was an excellent presentation, and I like the fact that you kind of compartmentalized the tasks that are for the county board only and are mixed for a county board and other entities. And I was wondering, could you get that PowerPoint to our county board office so it could be shared with all the county board members?
Absolutely. I think Mary already have it, and you have our permission to pass that out.
And I noticed there were I was looking on your website today, and I noticed there were a number of other resolutions that the commission had endorsed various things. Some of them made it in the 26 final recommendations, and some didn't. I mean, those, whatever you endorsed, the fact that it wasn't in, may not have been in the 26 final recommendations, those are things you still support. Is that correct?
That's correct.
All right.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, I'll just say, yeah, the resolutions are new. I know the calls to action are new. Those resolutions and the other actions that we've taken, clearly, some of them we've done, some of them we still support. So all of our work in totality from all of our documents, including the interim report and this final report, still stand for sure.
Okay, so that would include the your recommendation that we should adopt recall for the office of the county sheriff.
Correctly. Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, that's Mr. Cameron's favorite. Other questions or comments from members of the board? Mr. Del Giorno.
I want to thank all of you for your work. I want to also remind everybody about 18 months ago when Sonia was tragically murdered. several of us on this board were chomping at the bit to try to address things in the moment. And our chairman, rightly or wrongly, told us, wait for the Massey Commission to do their work, because in hindsight, having a bunch of politicians try to come up with the answer is probably not the smartest thing in the room, or smartest thing to do, so I will commend the chairman for that guidance. The first thing I notice here is implementation of an oversight group. Is it your recommendation that the county put together a new body, be it an elected official oversight committee that goes through all of this and make sure that it gets appropriately tasked and followed through on? Could you put a little more meat on that first bullet point on your recommendations?
So a couple of things. One, that body that would be created would also have to actually check our work, right? To see in a year's time how many things have been implemented. So yeah, I would suggest absolutely coming up with that. Adam, do you want to take any other oversight questions? Adam is our politician person. I told you we brought some expertise here. I'm going to let the experts speak to that.
We would like that, and I think it would be very important for that implementation oversight group to have members from the commission that were part of writing these and have an in-depth understanding of the vision and can catch things if it's off kilt and reset course and things like that. So absolutely.
Okay, quick follow-up. Do you think that should be a county-centered committee, so to speak, or should that be?
I think the county should fund the salaries for that, but the people who compile that are not of the county board, if that makes sense.
Okay.
So members of the community, the commission, work groups, staff, I would suggest that be the core group.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
Mr. Harris.
Yeah, job well done, Joanne, Jerry, Sante, Adam, Kelly, thank you. The chairs and the co-chairs, all the working group members, members of the public that came out and gave testimony and suggestions. Thank you, everyone that was involved in this. The report's impressive. I'm just going to take some time to go through it a little bit later, but I like how you broke out the responsibilities and duties that are assigned to us, level of impact, accountable parties. You made it easy for us, and I really appreciate that. I asked this question not so much to the commission, but to Chairman Van Meter. In caucus, I asked earlier about what was our next step for this, and can you, just for the public, do we disseminate these 13 recommendations to the standing committees that we have? Is that the next step?
Yes, as you might have the impression from the presentation this evening, these folks are about getting things done, and they've already convened one meeting. We got some of the players around the table, but we're hoping to have another meeting in the very near future with a very broad group of people around the table that can take the assignment and run with it. And the concepts that are identified for the county board, we're hoping to be able to assign those to one of the discipline committees. Some of the projects may require sort of a interdisciplinary group of community leaders, but we're working through those assignments. But the idea is to assign each project to a group of some kind. Yeah, please.
I just don't want us to forget community members in that. There were over 200 people who applied to be on the commission, and I just recently learned a couple of them were outside of our county, which means there's a need for this work. And so please remember that this community has already put in the work, and then continue to make sure that they're at the table. I often ask the question, who's not at this table, so that we can remember what pieces we might be missing. So thank you.
Mr. Guyton.
Thank you for saying that, because that was what I was going to say. Not only thank you for all of your incredible work for this well thought out, well put together presentation, but for also providing a pressure release valve for the community. There were a lot of people that were upset, and understandably so, rightfully so. But a lot of people were sitting in unrest with anxious energy, had no idea what to do. And to be able to put these meetings together to make them accessible for people who could not be present, I think that it does not go enough saying that that was exactly what we needed for the moment. So thank you for your hard work. Thank you for your patience. Thank you for your fortitude. This was not an easy task. I can imagine. And I hope that we continue to bring the community into conversations like this, because that's the only way that we're going to make sure that everybody's heard. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other questions or comments? Well, thank you all very much for the work that you've done, and we've got lots of work to do. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right, proceeding in the regular order, if the chairman could remember what order we're in. Are we at 3? 3. Very good. If the clerk will read Resolution 3.
Number 3, resolution approving the purchase of 2 batwing mower decks from Sivers Equipment Company of Auburn, Illinois, on a joint purchasing contract in the amount of $51,200.
Motion by Mr. Frazee, seconded by Mr. Hall, to place Resolution 3 before the board. Questions, comments, members of the board on Resolution 3? Seeing none, Mr. Madonia, you have a motion?
I move that the roll call vote for Resolution 1 stand for the roll call vote of Resolution 3.
Seconded by Mr. Del Giorno. All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, no. The ayes have it. Resolution 3 is adopted. Resolution 4, Mr. Clerk.
Number 4, 2025-18, Springfield C Store LLC, 6490 and 6492 North Walnut Street, Springfield, granting rezoning, conditional permitted uses with conditions and a variance.
Motion by Mr. Mendenhall, seconded by Ms. Fulgenzi, to place Resolution 4 before the board. We're now entering the zoning portion of the meeting, and it's our policy to ask if there are members of the audience who feel it's necessary who wish to speak in opposition to the proposed zoning. Are there members of the audience who wish to speak in opposition to the proposed zoning? Seeing none, are there members of the audience who feel it's necessary to speak in opposition to the proposed zoning? Did I say that right? Are there members of the audience who wish to speak in support of the proposed zoning? Seeing none. Are there members of the audience who wish to speak in opposition to the proposed zoning? Seeing none. Mr. Madonia, Mr. Mendenhall, do you have a motion, please?
I move that we waive the staff report since we have no opposition.
Is there objection? Without objection, so ordered. Questions, comments from members of the board on Resolution 4? Seeing none on the question, all those in favor of adopting Resolution 4 signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, no. The ayes have it. Resolution 4 is adopted. Resolution 5, Mr. Clerk.
Number 5, resolution approving the procurement of goods and/or services for the Sheriff's Department from Motorola Solutions for the purpose of utilizing the Starcom Communications Network in the amount of $85,136.
Motion by Mr. Chumlin, seconded by Mr. Ayers, to place Resolution 5 before the board. Mr. Del Giorno.
Mr. Chairman, at this time, I move to consolidate resolutions 6 through 14 in with 5.
Second by Mr. Madonia. Mr. Clerk, will you please read Resolutions 6 through 14?
My pleasure. Number 6, resolution approving the procurement of goods and/or services for the Sheriff's Department from Bob Barker and multiple vendors for the purpose of jail and inmate supplies in the amount of $145,230. Number 7, resolution approving the procurement of goods and/or services for the Sheriff's Department from Allison Long for the purpose of inmate dental services in the amount of $53,195. Number 8, resolution approving the procurement of goods and/or services for the Sheriff's Department from Ray O'Hearn for the purpose of uniform expenses in the amount of $63,870. Number 9, resolution approving the procurement of goods and/or services for the Auditor's Department from Kim's Auto Body LLC for the purpose of automobile repair in the amount of $70,000. Number 10, resolution approving the tax levies for fiscal year from December 1st of 25 through November 30th of 26. Number 11, resolution regarding Deputy Merit Commission member compensation. Number 12, resolution approving the procurement of goods and/or services for the County Board Administration from Morrow Brothers and other vehicle vendors for the purpose of fiscal year 26 county vehicle purchases in the amount of $546,166. Number 13, resolution approving a grant application for the County Board Administration from the Illinois Department of Commerce and Economic Opportunity for the Energy Transition Community Grant in the amount of $771,251.07. Number 14, resolution approving a grant application for the County Board Administration from Illinois Department of Human Services for the Greater Springfield Chamber of Commerce Workforce Development in the amount of $797,693.
On the motion to consolidate, all in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, no. The ayes have it. The motion to consolidate is agreed to. Questions or comments from members of the board on the resolutions as consolidated? Mr. Cannon.
Yeah, on number 5, I have a question for the sheriff. There was an article in USA Today 1 week ago, December 2nd, about that dozens of police departments around the country, including in Illinois and Indiana, are now using Axon body cameras that are equipped with real-time translation capabilities, so that if an officer encounters somebody who's not fluent in English, they could talk to them through this device. And I was wondering if you are aware of this and have looked into this, or considering getting any of these for your officers.
We do have Axon body cameras right now. That functionality is not part of our program package, but we are in conversations on a variety of different items with the Axon package, so that's something I can look into, but I have not looked into that as of today.
Okay, very good, thanks. I'll give you this article here.
Yes, sir,
Maybe
thank you.
After the meeting, I guess. It's hard for me to get over there right now.
I'll find
All
you
right,
afterwards.
thanks. Yeah.
Other questions or comments from members of the board on the resolutions? Seeing
Mr.
none?
Chairman,
Mr.
I did
Cameron.
have a question on resolution 14, where I know it's state grant, but it's almost $1 million going to the Greater Springfield Chamber of Commerce to do something with helping high school kids get jobs. And I was wondering, is there a budget item as to how they're spending this, and are we going to get the different, broken out as to how they're going to spend it, and also will we get an accounting when all this money is spent as to how it was spent?
The answer to the second question is absolutely yes. We were hoping to have a presentation on this in the earlier part of the meeting, but as an accommodation to the Massey Commission, we asked the Chamber of Commerce to come to our meeting later and make a presentation later. So you will get a full presentation on this, but for the moment, let me just refer to your question to professional staff. I think Brian can give you a little background where the money's really coming from and how we anticipate it being used.
Yeah, so this is a grant that we received from the state probably 2 years ago. It was close to $1 million in total. We've already spent over $100,000 with the Urban League on a youth job training program. We've transitioned away from that, and we met with the Chamber of Commerce along with Senator Turner, who secured this grant for the county. And we basically asked the chamber to come up with a program for youth employment. I think it's detailed in the packet, but there's internships. They're talking about sponsoring mentoring programs, shadowing programs, different types of training programs. I think the budget is about $130,000 a year. The way the grant is structured, we can continue to spend it over multiple years. So that amount is not a one-year item at all.
Oh,
It's a multiple-year item, and the money will be audited by both the state and the county auditor's office.
So the Urban League is not a part of this at all anymore?
Not anymore, no.
Okay, why did we decide
Well,
not to use the Urban League and to use the chamber, or not to use maybe both of them at the same time?
I think the experience was that the chamber could bring the businesses to the program, and I think that it is possible the Urban Leagues may still be involved, but the chamber is going to be the leading responsible party for it.
Yeah, the chairman's absolutely right. The Urban League could still be involved in this, but one of the challenges that they faced was getting employers to the table. It doesn't really do any good if you have the youth, but you don't have the employers. So that's the commitment that the chamber's made. Mike Murphy will be here later in the meeting to explain that, but
Yeah, I don't want to steal his thunder, but there's a lot of enthusiasm for this on the chamber's part and the business's part, and they've developed a youth and summer employment fair around it, and I don't want to steal his thunder on
Yeah,
that. but-
Mr. Chairman, I move that out of the consolidated resolutions we're voting on, that we remove 14 from those ordinances and hold that off until Mr. Murphy can speak to us
Is there a
about it.
second?
I'll second.
All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no.
No.
Opinion of the chair, the noes have it. The resolution will stay consolidated. Any other questions, members of the board? Seeing none, Mr. Madoni, do you have a motion?
I move that the roll call vote for Resolution 1 stand for the roll call of 5 through 14 as consolidated.
All in favor, signify by saying aye. Opposed, no. The ayes have it.
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to be
Resolution is
recorded
decided
as
and adopted.
abstaining on 14. I may change my vote after we hear from Mr. Murphy.
The record will
Thank you.
reflect Mr. Cameron is abstaining. Proceeding in the regular order, motion by Mr. Madonia, seconded by Mr. Del Giorno for the waiver of the 10-day filing period. All in favor, signify by saying aye. Opposed, no. The ayes have it. 10-day filing period is waived. Resolution 15, Mr. Clerk.
Number 15, resolution approving a grant application for the Elections Department from the federal government distributed by the Illinois State Board of Elections for the 26 polling place accessibility grant in the amount of $38,716.84.
Motion by Mr. Miller, seconded by Ms. Scaife to place resolution 15 before the board. Mr. Del Giorno.
At this time, Mr. Chairman, I move to consolidate 16 through 20 and with 15.
Second by Mr. Madonia. Mr. Clerk, will you please read resolutions 16 through 20?
Number 16, resolution approving a grant application for the Elections Department from the federal government distributed by the Illinois State Board of Elections for the 26 Illinois Voter Registration State Grant, IVRS, in the amount of $83,639.15. 17, resolution approving the procurement of goods and/or services for the Elections Department from Inclusion Solutions for the purpose of purchasing 86 ADA United Adjustable Single Voting Booths for express vote units in the amount of $38,716.84. Number 18, resolution approving the procurement of goods and/or services for court services from Gateway Foundation, Inc. for the purpose of providing recovery coaching to problem-solving court participants in the amount of $60,765. Number 19, resolution approving the procurement of goods and/or services for court services from Advanced Correctional Health Care for the purpose of providing on-site medical services at the Juvenile Detention Center in the amount of $166,215. And number 20, resolution approving the procurement of goods and/or services for court services from various Illinois detention centers for the purpose of out-of-county bed space for juveniles in the amount of $100,000.
On the motion to consolidate, all in favor signify by saying aye. Opposed, no. The ayes have it. The motion consolidates agreed to. Questions or comments from members of the board on the resolutions as consolidated? Mr. Cameron.
20, we now have the juvenile center. It's in operation. Why are we paying out-of-county facilities to house juvenile detainees?
We would like not to. I think that's a question for professional staff. Mr.
Yeah, thank you,
Cadman.
Chairman. So there is on occasion a need to house a juvenile outside of the county. We currently have one juvenile that is housed in Cook County. He is a co-defendant with another juvenile that is in Sangamon County Juvenile Detention Center, and the court has determined that those two co-defendants should not be housed in the same location. So we have situations like that that arise over time.
Any other questions or comments from members of the board on the resolutions as consolidated? Seeing none, Mr. Madonia, you have a motion?
Yeah, I move that the roll call vote for Resolution 1 stand for the roll call vote of Resolutions 15 through 20 as consolidated.
Second by Mr. Del Giorno. All in favor signify by saying aye. Opposed, no. The ayes have it. The resolutions as consolidated are adopted. Resolution 21, Mr. Clerk.
Number 21, resolution submitting a binding referendum to Sangamon County voters in the March 26 primary to establish and fund a mental health board.
Motion by Ms. Lathan, seconded by Mr. Shackman to place resolution 21 before the board. Questions, comments, members of the board on the resolution? Mr. Cameron.
Mr. Chairman, I move to amend this resolution to correct probably a unintended error. I move to amend Resolution 21 by striking the words "establish" and from its title and from the paragraph beginning with the phrase "now therefore be it resolved." The reason for this amendment is that it's not proper to put the question of forming the mental health board before the voters. If the only question that should be before the voters under the law is the question of levying the tax for the purpose of funding the mental health services. The voters approve this referendum on March 17th. The county board will then have the opportunity to create a mental health board. That doesn't require a binding referendum. And I have a copy of Resolution 21 showing the words I move to be stricken, which I would like to give to the clerk if the clerk or his assistant could maybe meet me halfway or part of the way.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Camden. We appreciate your eagle eye review of that resolution, and the state's attorney concurs with your reading. Is there a second to Mr. Camden's motion?
Second, Chairman.
Mr. Madonia, thank you. Now, questions or comments from members of the board on this resolution? Ms. Latham?
This, I just said,
Mr. Camden?
just, this is, you know, this is one of the very recommendations that the Massey Commission just recommended to us. So I would urge a yes vote on this. Thank you.
When I think all of this was, none of this was planned, but it just turns out that we had this on the ballot the same, on the agenda.
Just so happens that the deadline for us to put this on the March ballot is December 30th. So
Right.
this is our last meeting before then, so thank you.
Oh, no, I'm sorry. Thank you. The clerk reminds me. We have the amendment. You have the amendment at the desk now.
I do.
Let us first consider Mr. Camden's amendment. All in favor of Mr. Camden's amendment, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. The ayes have it. The amendment's adopted. Ms. Latham?
I would like to add that this is in response to one of the recommendations made by the Massey Commission. The Mental Health Commission used a very specific process in terms of assessing existing documents, conducting a somewhat of a loose but efficient gap analysis. We conducted surveys and did the data analysis, as well as we had the opportunity to do a significant number of provider interviews. And from that, some of those findings that I think stood out and should be shared is that 40% of Sangamon County residents reported unmet mental health needs, and 90% of community members supported the need for expanded mental health services, which is definitely in response to this referendum. We also drilled down and identified specific populations that definitely had unmet services because of the lack of services that were available, and housed our youth, rural and urban populations, as well as there was limited ability to coordinate services throughout the county. And we also can't forget that by doing, and then also our incarcerated populations, in particular, those that enter our county jail, and they continue to circulate through our system because their mental health needs are not being addressed. And so as a result, this referendum, if voted and moved forward, will strengthen and expand services based on need, be able to come together and leverage state and federal resources, as well as it's very much intended that we do not have an administrative heavy use of our funding, but that the majority of our funds go out into our communities and meet the needs, and a minimal amount of our funds will be used for administrative oversight as well as management. The referendum is an increase in county sales tax, not including groceries, by 0.50%, 5% on a $10 purchase, 50 cents on a $1 purchase. And this will be on our ballot March 17, 2025. And currently, there's probably more closer. It was 50, around 50. I think we're moving closer to 75 community members are coming together and starting to organize around educating for this particular referendum. The other piece that I did not make mention of, which is very important, is that there is a component of this that deals with outreach education and the reduction of stigma. because we also know that even when mental health services are available, because of the stigma associated with mental health services, people don't access them. So there's definite need for education and stigma reduction. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Lathan. Mr. Chapman, you worked with arm in arm with Ms. Lathan on this project.
Yeah, I've told you, Gina, in private. I want to say it publicly. It's a real pleasure to work with you on this. I had the pleasure of chairing the Public Health Committee for a number of years now, and I joke around all the time that when you look at me, I'm the epitome of public health. I'm not healthy. But I appreciate professionals like Gina, like Dr. Wolf, like Josh Sabo, and members of this commission that Chairman, through your help, through the vote of the Public Health Committee about a year ago, and from this board, we're allowed to examine this and put findings in front of us tonight. We heard from a lot of professionals. We've heard from a lot of individuals that needed services. We heard from a lot of individuals that probably need services but don't know where to access them throughout that time. And the vote on this referendum, and I apologize, I don't like to talk too much in this chamber, but the vote on this referendum, I struggled because I have a daughter that lives here, and she owns a home. And I don't want to put more strain on her through a tax. But when you look at the meat of the data that comes from these things and the overall potential for a cost savings, we have a chance to change the trajectory of where we put our money here. I'm on the Civil Liabilities Committee. I see where we've hemorrhaged money in areas that we can simply help folks come to some resolve and be healthier people and be more productive in our own society and be our neighbors. And that's what this board is supposed to work with our professionals in coordination and spearheading efforts and seeing through analysis, actual data, where our professionals need to focus, and then they have the strength behind them through funding these things to get everyone involved and go along with it. And it's a tremendous tool. It's used around the state of Illinois. It is something that we can utilize here. We've seen it numerous times. That these things can be a benefit and a cost savings, and I would strongly urge a yes vote on this.
Thank you, Mr. Chapman. Any other?
I'm sorry for talking so long.
Any other questions or comments from members of the board? Does everyone who wishes to speak spoken once? Very well then, Ms. Lathan.
I do also want to add and just remind that the funds would be generated from sales tax, not property tax, as well as over time there will be a significant cost savings. When we think about and we recognize the reduction of inmates circulating through our county jail, that's a cost savings. When we were able to, once they work with them while they're inside the jail and then transition their services to case management, intensive case management, and other services outside of the jail, that's cost savings because we're working with them initially in intensive services and then reducing the level of services and working with them to be more independent. Also, cost savings when individuals are on medication and they have the stability, oftentimes of housing, to stabilize them and to allow them to access the services for them to maintain their treatment regimen. And then we will also be reducing, as a result of these services, reducing our emergency room visits as opposed to, but instead having them on a treatment regimen and have a full intensive treatment and team that is able to work with them. So I did want to add that.
Thank you, Ms. Latham. Any other comments, members of, Mr. Del Giorno?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I want to commend both James and Gina for their work with this, and to point out to everyone that this is probably one of the most consequential things that we may do as a board as a result of Sonia Massey's murder. As a point of clarification, I did want to ask the chair to direct this question to Ms. Latham with regard to the sales tax amount. If you could repeat that again, just for clarity as to what the amount would be and what that would be on a $100 purchase.
So for a $100 purchase, that is a 1.50%, 50 cents. A $10 purchase, 0.5 cents, a nickel.
Okay. I just wanted to make sure that was clear.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Del Giorno. I might state by just point of order here that the board by state law is prohibited from endorsing the referendum. We're voting tonight to place it on the ballot, but no individual, every individual board member can certainly endorse the referendum. And as Ms. Lathan indicated, there is already a tremendous groundswell of people who are, many of them who know firsthand the need for additional mental health services in this community, that I've already formed a citizens committee to support this referendum. And I think you said 70 people already signed it?
Initially, there were 50 in one group, but I was informed that there is another group forming that will be doing the same type of education, and they have around 25 individuals.
Great. So the community support is definitely being generated to adopt the referendum. Any other questions? Seeing none on the resolution, the clerk will call the roll. Those in favor of adopting the resolution as amended by Mr. Kammen's amendment, vote yes. Those opposed, vote no. The clerk will call the roll.
Ayers. Yes. Cammon. Yes. Davsco. Yes. Diener. Yes. Del Giorno. Yes. Deppie. Yes. Douglas Williams. Forsythe. Frazee. Yes. Fulgenzi.
Oh, excuse.
Guyton.
Aye.
Hall. Krell. Lathan.
Aye.
Madonia. Aye. McGuire. Mendenhall. Miller. Aye. Rader. Aye. Scaife. Yes. Shackman. Aye. Shepherd.
Aye.
Small. Aye. Stump. I'm sorry, I couldn't hear you. Aye. Thomas. Yes. Chumlin. Aye. Truax. Aye. Minus Ms. Fulgenzi, that'd be 26 yes, 0 no.
All those voting having voted in the affirmative, Resolution 21 is adopted, and the referendum will appear on the March 17th ballot. Resolution 22, Mr. Clerk.
Number 2, resolution approving the procurement of goods and/or services for information service from Coverage One, Inc. and other various vendors for the purpose of updating Sangamon County's network in the amount of $175,000.
Motion by Mr. Rader, seconded by Mr. McGuire to place Resolution 22 before the board. Questions, comments from members of the board on Resolution 22? Mr. Del Giorno.
Mr. Chairman, I move that we consolidate 23 through 30 in with 22.
Second by Mr. Madonia. Mr. Clerk, will you please read Resolutions 23 through 30?
Number 23, resolution approving the procurement of goods and/or services for information systems from Dell Marketing LLC and various vendors for the purpose of updating the county's personal computers and other endpoint equipment in the amount of $175,000. 24, resolution approving the procurement of goods and/or services for information systems for Dell Marketing LLC for the purpose of updating all Microsoft Office licenses as the current ones have gone end of life in the amount of $250,000. 25, resolution approving an intergovernmental agreement between the County of Sangamon on behalf of the Sangamon County Information Systems Department and the Springfield Mass Transit District, doing business as Sangamon Mass Transit District. Number 26, resolution approving the procurement of goods and/or services for the Auditor's Office from National Indemnity Company for the purpose of fleet auto insurance for SMART in the amount of $120,000. 27, resolution approving the procurement of goods and/or services for SMART from 1800 East LLC for the purpose of office and vehicle storage in the amount of $66,000. 28, resolution approving the procurement of goods and/or services for SMART from WEX for the purpose of vehicle fuel rides throughout rural Sangamon and Menard counties. 29, resolution approving an agreement between Sangamon County and Heartland Housed for the purpose of providing staffing. And finally, number 30, resolution approving an agreement between Sangamon County and Heartland Housed for the purpose of addressing homelessness.
On the motion to consolidate, all in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, no. The ayes have it. The motion consolidates is agreed to. Questions or comments from members of the board on the resolutions as consolidated? Seeing none, I just want to mention to the board that we typically ask Heartland House for an update around this time of year when we renew our agreement with them. And again, in the interest of efficiency with the Massey Commission's presentation this evening, we're going to get them scheduled for perhaps the January or the February meeting. Any other questions or comments from members of the board on the resolutions consolidated? Seeing none, Mr. Madonia?
I move that the roll call vote for Resolution 1 stand for the roll call vote 22 through 30 as consolidated.
All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, no. The ayes have it. The resolutions as consolidated are adopted. Appointments. Oh, old business. New business. Mr. Cannon.
At the beginning of the meeting, our former colleague, former county board member Tyrone Pace was here, and I wanted to see if we could recognize him, but it looks like maybe he's gone. I think he was just here because I understand he was recently appointed to the Merit Commission, and he wanted to make sure that we passed resolution number 11, increasing the pay for the Merit Commission. But anyways, I just wanted to recognize our colleague, Mr. Pace, even if he's not here.
Mr. Pace was a well-respected colleague from his years of service here. Very good. Appointments, motion by Mr. Madonia, seconded by Mr. Del Giorno for the approval of the appointments as submitted to your desk. All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, no. The ayes have it. The appointments are approved. Public comment. We have 10 people signed up, but yes, good. But we by special accommodation, we asked Mr. Murphy, the chairman of the president of the Chamber of Commerce, if he would defer his presentation till this portion of the meeting. And Mr. Murphy, if you'd be our first member of the public. While you were not here earlier, there were a couple of questions about the program that you're putting together, and we didn't want to steal your thunder because it's a really great opportunity to talk, but we thought you could explain it a little better.
Sure. This came about from Chairman Van Meter, actually. I don't know if you guys know this, several years ago, 3 years ago, at the State of the Greater, where Chairman Van Meter gave the very first State of the County, he mentioned to me surprisingly that the Chamber needs to do more about youth employment. And so we started a youth job fair, and it went really well. And then last year, after the second youth job fair, and this youth job fair has been tremendous. The first year, I will always remember a young lady. She wasn't telling me, she was telling the world, I got a job. You know, we've had several actually get hired on the spot, and several get summer employment, which is so important for them to enter the workforce. But then last year, Chairman Van Meter asked if we could step it up and do more as far as youth employment. And that came about from his speech at the State of the Greater. And when he mentioned that the one area of population that Sangamon County is doing poorly in is the age between 18 and 35. We are just not retaining that age group here in Springfield, and we need to do more. And so he and I and several others talked, and I finally told him, I said, we would be happy to take on this task, but I never have anybody from my staff come in and say, hey, I don't have anything to do today. You got something for me? And I told him this would take an additional person and some revenue. And I said, we don't have that revenue in our budget. And so he found us some revenue with the help of
Senator Turner found the revenue.
Senator Turner found the revenue. And so we put together a plan. And I want you guys to know it is a plan. But we're going to focus on high school and college employment. We've had some programs. I reached out to other chambers and other entities who do workforce plans all across the country and try to get some best practices on some things that would work. Some examples of what we're planning on doing is every high school in the county, we want to touch them 4 times with 4 different programs a month. We will work on resume. We will work on educating them on what's available in Sangamon County, that you don't have to leave Sangamon County to do that. So that would be a big part of it. Another aspect that I want to incorporate is a job shadowing program. I have 2 children, and they both work. One's 40 and one's 37, so they're no longer children, they're adults. And they both work in the field that they job shadowed when they were in high school. So I know it can be a valuable tool. I want to do that. And other aspects of youth employment. And so the vast majority of this effort will be on youth employment. However, something that's near and dear to my heart is reentry employment. People who are coming out of the prison systems. I know it can work because we had great success at Charlie Parker's. I believe in opportunities, and I would like for us to eventually, not at the beginning focus is going to be on youth employment, but then I would hopefully that this would grow and we would be able to help people re-enter the job force there, and also with veterans. That would be the 3 things, but it would always be probably 90% involved in youth.
Thank you. Mr. Murphy, earlier there was a question about the Urban League because initially this program had been operated or funded through us to the Urban League. But my recollection is the Urban League was part of the original planning group on this.
Yeah, we have a great relationship with Marcus over at the Urban League, and I won't duplicate any programs. We're going to work with and try to make sure that we have a strong program, but I have no intent of trying to do something that somebody else is doing. But I will work with every organization. They will have a seat at the table. We had Boys and Girls Club there that day. We had District 186 there. We're going to have the players involved in this. They will have a seat at the table.
Other questions for Mr. Murphy? Mr. Cameron.
Also, I wanted to take the opportunity, Mr. Murphy, to thank you for your work on the Mental Health Commission, which, we passed a binding referendum.
Just keep in mind that wasn't with the chamber.
I know, but you wear a number of hats, so under that hat, but you're still the same person.
Yes, sir.
But this grant of $797,000, I understand it's it's not in 1 year, it's over multiple years. How many years is this?
Well, our initial
for?
budget for the first year was about $130,000. And this budget will be, as we spend the money, we get the money. You guys are not getting us $130,000 and then we get to play with it. We will turn in monthly receipts on our body of work, but our estimate the first year is $130,000. So if we have the whole $700,000 plus, I would hope we would get 5-6 years out of this.
Okay, and a large part of that chunk will be to hire a new employee to manage this program, is that correct?
Yeah, a little over probably 50% of it by the time you get benefits and everything in there. We're hoping to attract somebody around the $60,000 mark plus benefits.
Okay, thank you.
No problem.
Any other questions for Mr. Murphy? Well, thank you very much. We know you had another engagement tonight, and we appreciate you making this one as well.
I was able to see everybody I needed to see at the first one.
Great.
So thank you.
Thank
you for accommodating me. Thank you very much.
Mr. Chairman?
Mr. Cameron.
I'd like to change my vote on Resolution 14 from abstaining to yes vote, thanks to this great presentation by Mr. Murphy.
I thought you would. The clerk's already done that, Mr. Cameron. All right. Proceeding now to public comment. The first person who signed up to speak is Tara Bergschneider. Tara Bergschneider? We're not here? Okay. We're working this evening under our new rules, so all public speakers, regardless of their subject, will have 4 minutes to make their presentation. The next person who signed up to speak is Sean Riley. Sean Riley? Not here? Okay. The next person who signed up to speak is Kathleen Campbell. I do see her. Welcome. many of you will remember Ms. Campbell from CO2.
My name is Dr. Kathleen Campbell from Glenarm, Illinois. I'm here to speak as president of Citizens Against Heartland Greenwashing Projects, which evolved from the Navigator Pipeline opposition. I thank the Sangamon County Board for the public hearing. I listened to all the panels and questions, but I was not feeling well and I was unable to stay for the public comments, but I did send mine for posting. I will point out that while Cyrus One and the Growth Alliance had months, if not years, to prepare their information, we only had a few weeks in a new area, yet our concerns are well grounded. Over time, more problems will probably be revealed as they were with Navigator. Please don't rush us. As a rural electric customer and a rural landowner approximately 10 miles from the proposed data site, I have several concerns. First, apparently the Growth Alliance is substantially funded by Sangamon County, and thus ultimately by the taxpayers, and should not function in secret. Therefore, I ask that the Growth Alliance immediately inform us of all plans under consideration for the next 6 months, the next year, and the long view of the next 5 years. Particularly if other data centers are being considered, we should know that now, along with possible locations. If the Cyrus, we need to know, is the Cyrus One data center a one-off, or is it a Trojan horse? All cards on the table now, before the permit is even considered, please. We impacted citizens should never be blindsided like this again by a taxpayer-funded program on such a major issue. We also should have been informed of the zoning change proposal and all of its implications before it was approved in July. If full information and its implications about the data center were withheld from the zoning committee as it was the public, I question whether the applicant acted in good faith. But I'm not an attorney. But my non-attorney view is, I thought it was sneaky. For rural electric, they talk about us being a cooperative, but I see no transparency or cooperation. Our annual meeting was June 12th, and they said nothing about the data center. We read every magazine and mailing, and they said nothing. Now Rural Electric Q&A states that the data center will get secret and preferential rates. That is unacceptable. Because they are so certain that there will never be blackouts or brownouts, then they should give us a written enforceable guarantee that in the event of a blackout, residents, not the data center, will take priority, and also guarantee that our rates will not go up, which they promise, but they have elsewhere around other data centers consistently. If residents around data centers could give Yelp reviews, it appears that data centers would not even get 1 star. Let's learn from the mistakes of others. Yesterday, December 9th, 2025, the National Food and Water Watch revealed that 233 organizations across the country have now signed a letter to Congress calling for a national moratorium on data centers. That shows the depth of concern and the level of risk. Let's wait. Let's not let this happen to us. I was going to end there, but I have another minute. So, these data centers are taking enormous amounts of power. In Iowa, Google just announced that all of its data centers, they plan to bring in natural gas with CCS. That means carbon dioxide pipelines. We fought this battle. They can't sequester CO2 in Iowa. Guess where that's coming? Probably here. If we have data centers here, they will probably also bring in natural gas with CCS. That seems to be the national plan. Thank you. I'll see you at the zoning committee.
Thank you. The next person who signed up to speak is Donald Hanrahan. Mr. Hanrahan.
Thank you. With just a woefully inadequate zoning rule in place, as a retired lawyer, I have many, many questions after the board hearing on December 3rd regarding the data center. And I thought of another one as I listened to the Massey Commission. How does this project square with call to action number 21, which is about economic development? How does it square with it? When you read it, I think we're a long ways away from meeting the requirements of Massey Commission call to action number 21 with this proposed data center. Cyrus One claims it's not requesting any property tax abatement. That's unenforceable. What if they apply for certification as a mega project under proposed legislation that freezes the assessed value at pre-development rates? Will Cyrus One commit in a legally binding contract that they and their successors will not appeal its property tax assessments or apply for programs that reduce property sales, use, and occupational taxes? Will they commit to that? Vague statements of intent are not contractually binding. If you want their bona fides, get it in writing. Has the county verified that Cyrus even spoke to MISO about grid reliability? For 3 years, MISO has been screaming about demand increases that threaten rolling blackouts, and now suddenly adding a whole city's worth of power to the grid, or taking away that amount of power from the grid, is somehow just fine now? That evaluating reliability for just half the project means the second half is going to be fine? How? Why approve this before the grid analysis is even complete? What enforceable contract will ensure Cyrus One pays for all grid upgrades, including future upgrades? What recourse will ratepayers have if it turns out increased demand did jack up the rates, as it's done in data centers all over the country? Cyrus says they'll prioritize local workers. Okay, what percentage of construction and permanent jobs will contractually be guaranteed to Sangamon County residents, and what enforcement mechanism exists? What is the economic value of permanent loss of productive farmland? Has anyone assessed that? What analysis shows how many county jobs are going to be lost to artificial intelligence enabled by this data center? Getting temporary construction jobs to facilitate permanent job elimination is ludicrous. Cyrus One won't disclose its customer base. How can the county assess the long-term viability and its impact on local jobs if it can't even verify the business model or its customer base? Industry analysts note that functional obsolescence occurs in as little as 6 to 10 years. What contingency planning has the county done for that? Will Cyrus One legally commit to a minimum operating period? They just had a major failure 10 days ago that shook the whole stock market. Now Goldman Sachs paused their planned $1.3 billion mortgage bond sale for Cyrus One. If they cease operations or sell or abandon the facility, if it becomes a stranded asset, why no guarantees for remediation? Where's the development agreement covering tax payments, employment, environmental compliance, and operational duration? This is not obstruction or hyperbole, it's due diligence. Please do it. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Hanrahan, Mr. Hanrahan, Mr. Hanrahan, would you provide a copy of your remarks in the same, would you also, you don't need to do it tonight, but if you get a copy to the clerk? Thank you.
Mr. Chairman,
Mr. Giorno.
under our new rules, is it possible to ask a couple of questions of professional staff
Professional
for
staff, yes,
clarification?
Mr. Giorno.
First one I have is for legal counsel. In terms of what the public commenter mentioned with regard to being able to contract for these various things, does your office have an opinion as to whether we even have the authority to do that as part of the zoning process?
I would have to look into that, but I suspect we do not have that power.
Okay. Is that something that you could get back to us on? Okay. The second question I have is with regard to the zoning ordinance that was passed in July. Can someone, if someone knows off the top of their head, when was that first introduced at the zoning committee? When was it, put on the agenda? How many public meetings were there about that?
I don't think we have professional staff from that office here, but I don't know if can the administrator answer that? Do you know?
I can get the answer for you.
We'll get the answer for it.
But
Yeah.
we know at least one zoning meeting and one county board meeting when it was on a public agenda. I don't know if any of the zoning committee members recall.
Tony, I can't tell you exactly what, but I mean, it came up, and then I think, Trustin was talking about it, and I think it was discussed at least 2 or 3 meetings in Bennett.
Because it was amended and
Yeah.
all of this was posted on the website.
But I don't know
Right,
the dates.
and that's my point.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, and I think your point is well taken, because we may err in the decision we make, but we're really trying to be fair and open about the process that we're going through, and the implication that we're not trying to be fair and open about it is just incorrect. But I think it would help to get the presentations we had this evening, as well as the presentations we've had earlier, just so we can research the answers to a lot of these very good questions that are being asked. Okay, the next person who signed up in order to speak is Ken Pesha. Yes, but Mr. Pesha, we're operating under our new rules, which afford every speaker 4 minutes, whether it's on a subject before the board or not.
So, with the time I do have, I do want to talk about the Massey's final report and what comes next for everyone. I think there's a lot of things that, as a county and as a city, with Springfield as the largest city in the county, there's a lot of decisions and choices that are going to have to be made as we move forward. This report represents a lot of great ideas and directions, but it's going to be more than just you guys sitting in rooms making decisions for the rest of us. I strongly encourage all of you, and I don't say that rudely, you've been elected, but I think the thing is there's more to this than just getting elected and deciding that we represent our citizens. You have to come out and hear from them. I don't see a lot of people at these listening sessions that come from the county board or the city or the school district, and I want to challenge our leaders to come out and actually participate in this. As Mr. White noted for you guys, you have the political, social, and economic capital as board members to put your weight behind movements, whether it be the mental health board funding or even just the establishment, as Mr. Canham noted. You guys could start that tonight. You could pass a resolution to make the mental health board a absolute 708 mental health board right now. You could do it tomorrow morning. The funding is going to come from that, but I think that's one of those key things. You guys have these choices in front of you, and the funding is important, but we're going to have to make forward effort to get this to happen. The mental health board, as noted it during the previous presentation, has been present in other counties for well over 50 years, since the 60s in some cases. It seems like there's no good reason why Sangamon County should continue to run behind, because a lot of these programs, I'll encourage you to look, have been done in other areas already. We've lagged behind in terms of development, which is why we're all standing here right now. What happened with Sonia Massey was a preventable tragedy. We could have had better systems in place. We could have paid attention to cities that had these sort of programs already operating and headed this off at the pass long before we lost a great citizen of this city. And I think it's really important when we talk about the resolution that passed tonight, which I'm very grateful that it looked not completely 100% all of you approved of that passing. But what comes next with that? Now we have to publicly campaign for the public to inform them. There's a lot of people that are already opposed to that increase in the sales tax, just simply because, as noted, times are tight. But the simple fact is those are the kind of things that don't quote me on which one of you said it tonight, but the deferred costs of getting ahead of it. Think of how much it's cost you guys in time, effort, bad press, communication with your constituents, and all the effort this is going to mean if we had done the work ahead of time. If we had paid attention to the gaps that already exist and put the money in to prevent these kind of outcomes, because we're millions away from finding real resolutions to a lot of this. But we can save that money by investing in it ahead of time, such as when we passed for the mental health services in the jail. We're going to see great results from that, from getting inmates that kind of treatment before it gets to the point that our guards and our sheriffs are being attacked by them or suffering the outcomes. But I think it's really important that you guys take part in coming out into the community and hearing from all of us, not just people like me that take the time to sign up, because most people don't have that time, especially nowadays, as we mentioned, when times are tight. So I want to take my last few seconds to invite you guys. You may not be aware, at CAP 1908 tomorrow night, the Purple Coalition, which I am a part of, and then the Massey Commission are partnering to have a listening session with the public. We usually get pretty great attendance at both group sessions, so we'd like to invite all of you to come out, every single one of you. I know you guys have other commitments, and I won't take it personal if you're not there, but do know that you're welcome. We would like for you guys to come out, be a part of that conversation, and give your constituents a chance to be a part of that conversation as well. Thank you.
I wonder if if our attorney could answer a couple of questions. Can the county board form the mental health board in advance of the referendum approval?
No, the tax has got to be approved first.
Can the county board endorse the referendum? Question, correct. The county board cannot endorse.
Correct.
Just for the record. All right, the next person who signed up to speak is Lori McKiernan. No. Oh, yes, I guess you can hand, I'm told, yes, you can hand, yeah.
Thank you, County Board members. I'm here to follow up on a question posed at last Wednesday's public hearing about what other municipalities in Illinois were doing to regulate data centers. Tonight, I have information about Batavia, Illinois. Batavia is a far west suburb of Chicago, just north of Aurora. The population is approximately 27,000 residents. They have a municipally owned utility that generates about $49.6 million per year. Their data center is a 50 megawatt center. It's in an industrial park. Batavia managed this project using a master service agreement and approved the project in September of this year. The master service agreement defines the city's requirements for the project. An interesting piece is that Batavia is requiring the developer to purchase their energy directly from the open market, from PJM, which is the grid operator, the equivalent of our MISO. The data center will not be using energy from the city. Although the master service agreement doesn't specifically call out closed loop cooling, they're forcing closed loop system by limiting the amount of water that the data center can use. The MSA also dictates the use of the data center. No Bitcoin or blockchain services will be allowed to run in that data center. I want to point out too that even though Cyrus 1 states that they will never have to refill their closed loop cooling system, Batavia's MSA has a stipulation that any intent to discharge the cooling system requires giving the 7 days notice. So they must assume that there's a reason that they might need to discharge that water. The city of Batavia is paying for off-site electrical upgrades, and the developer is paying for on-site electrical costs. The city will incur $18 million in upgrades that the developer will pay upfront. Once the data center completes its first phase that will use 20 megawatts of power, the city will begin repaying the $18 million over a 7-year period. So the city will not make a profit on the data center for at least 7 years. Batavia's selling point is the revenue they will generate from their municipal utility, Once they do make money, the project will generate $8 million a year from an energy cost adjustment of 0.005 kilowatts per hour used at the data center. They have annual distribution charges, and they have franchise fees. So tax revenues are unknown at this point for the project, but they're minimal compared to the revenues that are generated by the utility, by the city-owned utility. They have the advantage of that revenue that we don't have here in Sangamon County. So my point here is not to compare the Cyrus One project with Batavia's data center, but to show you that the possibility is there for negotiating a data center project. You don't need to accept what Cyrus One is offering as is. I ask that you use your due diligence in researching the water issues that were mentioned by Prairie Rivers Network on Wednesday. You can require Cyrus One to use higher standards on their diesel backup generators. Naperville is requiring those. Many other requirements. So I ask that you listen to the public's concerns and determine which of those concerns can and should be addressed to approve the project. You can vote no to Cyrus One if they don't resolve these issues and if they don't meet your terms. Send them back to the drawing board if they don't resolve these issues. They obviously want to be here because of these large transmission lines, so you have the upper hand. We're depending on you to work through this that way. Thank you.
Thank you. This is very interesting. Thank you. Okay, the next person who signed up to speak is Abby Powell.
Chairman and members of the Sangamon County Board, thank you for the opportunity to speak this evening, and thank you for your leadership in holding the public hearing on the proposed Cyrus One Data Center. My name is Abby Powell, and I'm the Director of Business Development for Springfield Sangamon Growth Alliance. And I want to highlight why this project represents a significant economic development opportunity for Sangamon County. First, the economic impact is significant and immediate. This project brings a large-scale capital investment to our county and will create substantial construction activity, which includes a project labor agreement that ensures union jobs throughout the build. Once completed, the data center is expected to support 100 permanent full-time jobs, and along with an estimated 350 additional indirect and induced jobs. These are high-quality positions that support families, strengthen our workforce, and help retain talent in our region. Second, the long-term fiscal benefit to Sangamon County is exceptional. On average, a project like this pays $26 in taxes for every $1 of public services it requires. That means meaningful property tax revenue for schools, for fire protection and infrastructure, without placing additional burden on existing taxpayers. Third, the project has been thoroughly evaluated by experts and partners. Both the Rural Electric Convenience Co-op and the county's independent electrical consultant have affirmed that no rate increases are expected as a result of the data center, and the cost of necessary electrical infrastructure upgrades will be covered by Cyrus One, not by local ratepayers. It's also important to note that the facility's electric demand, to put this in scale, represents less than 1/2 of 1%. It's about 0.47% of the total generation available on the MISO grid. Fourth, the facility's design meets or exceeds all standards related to noise, light, and environmental impact. Shielded lighting protects dark skies, and sound mitigation elements ensure noise stays well below county thresholds. Similarly, the closed-loop cooling system ensures no negative impact from water use, keeping consumption levels comparable to a typical office building. Fifth, this project supports a broader business ecosystem. Data centers require ongoing partnerships with local contractors, service providers, and utilities. They also send a valuable signal to other technology and logistic companies evaluating Sangamon County as a potential site. A successful project of this scale strengthens our competitiveness for future investment. Finally, it's important to note Cyrus One's track record. This is not a new or speculative company. Cyrus One has been in continuous operation for over 25 years. And they serve a variety of national and international customers, including companies in technology, finance, construction, insurance, and other sectors. They are a proven, stable operator with a long history of building and maintaining mission-critical infrastructure. On behalf of the Growth Alliance, I want to thank you for your continued leadership in supporting responsible economic development in Sangamon County.
Thank you. Mr. Hall.
I understand I can't ask a question to the person who's speaking, but I can ask a question to our staff.
Personal staff.
Our
Professional staff.
zoning person, is our zoning person here?
I don't think we have zoning staff here at this late, no, but
Oh,
go ahead and
okay.
ask your question, maybe.
Okay, my question to zoning staff or the entire room here would be, the 50 decimals is a hard thing to read. We've experienced that with outdoor beer gardens, trying to figure out how loud something really is, and I understand it's our staff doesn't have equipment to be able to read that. We've contacted Illinois, trying to get them to help us read volumes, amounts. However, I guess my question to the staff would be, 50 decimals to the home adjacent to that, or is it to the property line? Because if it's to the property line, I don't see how a company like this could meet that. Because you're talking about 360 generators. Sure, they're all not going to be running at the same time, but they're over 2,000 horsepower each. That's probably as many combines as we may have in this county.
I think
And
you're,
so I guess I'm asking to the staff is, how do we know that they're going to hit that number or not hit that number?
I think your question exceeds the technical knowledge of those currently present in the room, so we will get you an answer to that question, but we'll have to get it from
All right, sir.
professional staff. Any other questions or comments from members of the board? Or the next speaker who signed up to speak is Ethan Manning.
To answer his question, look how they treat the people down in Chile. If you want more information on that, it got quite loud. So I'd like to thank Mr. Ayers for answering some of my questions that kind of led to this speech tonight. But I want to take a different approach to this. I agree with most people in opposition to this, but I kind of want to look at this situation from more of a 10,000 foot view. And I want to reiterate that, you know, I'm America first, and I'm pro-business, but I'm very skeptical of data centers. Considering 3 years ago, no one knew what a data center was. It's important to point out that the data center explosion, just in the last few years, is literally tied to a tech bro fantasy of birthing a godlike ASI. I like to call this privatized communism. If this was proven, as in the case of gas or oil or gold, I'd be out there with a shovel helping you dig. But it's not that, and it's unproven. So currently, that giant sucking sound Ross Perot talked about is our money going to Silicon Valley. So with that said, I'd like to point out some facts, concerns, and possible outcomes to the board. We have to consider the S&P 500 bubble is so big right now, a 5-year-old could point it out on a map. When bubbles pop or the powerful attempt at wealth transfer, it always rolls over to the poor, the young, and the middle class. They always suffer, and the marginalized. Boomer Reaganomics isn't a catch-all solution, and the economic crash typically pushes the young into the arms of the socialists. 2008 was tied to homes. That's an asset. 2025 is tied to the promise of AGI, which does not exist. It doesn't exist. They just say, well, give us more money and we'll get there someday, right? There are numerous studies that state mass computation, which this data center is not the best way to advance AI, but rather small computation at a device level, opposed to an AI for everything model. Now, to the point of power, the energy expert stated that the MISO grid can support the data centers as of now. What he did not speak to is how many data centers will come online over the next few years. Somebody else pointed that out earlier, which is a very good point. Or the upgrades needed over time to keep the grid functional. which is where the real energy bill increases come from. It's over time. One answer, as said by the Trump administration and big tech, is small nuclear reactors. That's where this goes. But how will this look? How will it be paid for? And do the citizens want nuclear? If and when the bubble pops, and I'm not saying it is, but I suspect it's going to pop, that does not necessarily mean the Cyrus Center goes out of business, nor does it mean that AI ceases to exist on the other side. But if it does, by losing its AI renters, how does that unfold? We can't just reappropriate a defunct data center like an out-of-business restaurant. Once a data center, always a data center. These companies openly state that they are targeting smaller conservative counties to push their centers. So it appears data centers are the AI conservative version of the Green New scam. We are decades away from zero carbon, and we are decades away from superintelligence, if we can even get there. So I want to say in conclusion, as I wind down here, I think it's fair to say that one can bow at the altar of Milton Friedman while also bowing at the idea of antitrust. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Manning. The next person who signed up to speak is Aaron Kirkpatrick.
Good evening. I'm Erin Kirkpatrick. I live in District 11. Thank you again for allowing the opportunity to address you tonight. First, I am baffled as to why we as a county, according to Representative Mendenhall, are planning to give $250,000 local tax dollars to a $15 billion company, rather than something locally relevant, such as implementing Massey Commission instructions. And I would echo what I heard last week regarding union jobs. We all want local labor to thrive, and I strongly believe in unions. Unfortunately, with Cyrus One's self-touted modular design, enabling rapid deployment of large-scale facilities, those union jobs will be relatively brief. Cyrus One is currently building a 1.9 million square foot single-story data center in Texas in a projected 18 months. I know we tend to think local, but I still wonder how many net jobs will be replaced due to the AI contained inside this proposed data center. As for long-term jobs, remember, data centers don't create anything. It's more like a warehouse for computers running on really expensive chips. So the jobs that data centers do create locally are typically those low-wage, non-technical positions, such as security, maintenance, and janitorial work. An $11 billion data center in Alabama is projecting just over 100 jobs. If approved, this data center will use 1 to 2 times as much energy as all current residential use in Sangamon County. No one can guarantee this won't raise rates, and it certainly won't lower them. Lori mentioned PJM. PJM, the largest regional transmission organization, had a 500% increase in its energy auction for 2025-26. And it was found that data center demand made up 63% of that total power capacity bill. And in the latest auction, prices jumped another 10%. Data centers already receive tax incentives at the state level, where states lose out on 52 to 70 cents for every dollar given away on data center sales and use tax exemptions. Companies now also benefit from that permanent bonus depreciation to help avoid paying federal taxes. A study from this year found first-year tax benefits for data centers now exceed half the value of the project in deductions, compared to about 1% under traditional depreciation, which could amount to $113.7 million in federal tax savings for this project in the first year alone. What we control is our zoning. I call on you to update our zoning of data centers now. Data centers are not just another business. Imagine it was you living 2 miles away and make all zoning decisions based on this. I would expand on Representative Hall's question. When the data center exceeds noise regulations, what happens? Does the individual resident have to sue the $15 billion company? Will the county? If they violate it X number of times, do they lose their zoning permit? We are responsible for how these centers impact the welfare of our Sangamon County neighbors. I continue to urge you to delay approval until the state legislature has an opportunity to pass data center regulation in the spring session to help avoid the numerous hardships other communities and counties just like ours have already experienced. Thank you.
Let's use our professional staff question time to answer at least one question in that very good presentation. What happens if a business is zoned to do something and they violate those zoning regulations or they violate public health and safety regulations? What's the enforcement
I think
mechanism?
there's enforcement mechanisms in the current Sangamon County code for that.
But what is the enforcement? What happens?
Well, I don't know what the example would be, but say
They build.
they're operating.
They build their building too tall, or
it's
they're
zoned
operating
for-
too loud.
Right. And so you would go in and say it's residential and they do something that's commercial. You just basically cease and desist. They don't, you go to court, the court makes them stop.
Who goes to court?
The same county would sue the.
You
landowner.
go to
Yeah.
court.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
So that exists now.
Okay, very good. Then the last person who signed up to speak is Bob Podlasek? Podlasek? Not here. Okay, very good. Then that's all of the people who signed up to speak this evening. And we are left with reports of county officials, reports of special committees, reports of standing committees, reports of the Committee on Claims. Motion by Mr. Del Giorno, seconded by Mr. Madonia. The reports be placed on file with the clerk. All in favor, signify by saying aye. Opposed, no. The ayes have it. Reports to be placed on file with the clerk. Motion by Mr. Madonia, seconded by Mr. Del Giorno, that we do stand in recess until the regularly scheduled January meeting. All in favor, signify by saying aye. Merry Christmas.